everybody. Thanks so much for joining us today as we're all wrapping up what has been quite a year. So we really appreciate everyone joining us. The Shakespeare and Autism Project began at OSU in 2011, and it's a collaboration, ongoing collaboration between the Department of Theater, Film, and Media Arts and the Nysanger Center here at OSU, which studies developmental disabilities. It's an instance of art and science coming together to explore the effectiveness of drama games in helping children navigate their social and communicative skills. And the project began when British actor, director, and educator Kelly Hunter brought this work with children with autism here to OSU in 2011. And her Hunter Heartbeat method is at the center of our work. It's a drama intervention that uses sensory drama games based in Shakespeare's text to engage children on the spectrum. And we train OSU students to facilitate workshops using the Hunter Heartbeat method in our service learning course, our Shakespeare and Autism course. And then they also have the opportunity to create their own drama games at the end of that course. To date, we've trained more than 75 OSU students to engage in this intervention, engage with children with autism, and then potentially take it out into the world. And it's really gratifying to say that 30% of our students who enroll in this course have chosen to make that either their professional course or their next course of study as graduate students. And to date, we've helped and interacted with more than 300 local children and their families. So that has been it's been an incredible experience, and we look forward to doing more of it in the future. And this project, a big part of it is this internship with Bridgeway Academy, and we're in the fourth year of that project, that internship. And what's so great is Bridgeway Academy is a school for children with developmental disabilities that's located here in Columbus. And this internship is a pre-professional immersive internship in not just drama therapy, but music therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy. And Rithika is the fourth recipient of the internship. And it's proven to be invaluable experience for our students, not only educationally, but professionally. Two of our first three interns have turned this experience into professional employment. Mackenzie Peterson, our very first intern, subsequently secured a full-time position at the Learning Spectrum, a school for children with autism here in Columbus. And she is the drama educator for the Learning Spectrum. And Emma Frarenkoff, our 2020 intern, currently has a full-time teaching position at Bridgeway. And Brianna Carrion, our 2019 intern, doesn't have a full-time position yet, only because she's still a student, and she'll be graduating in just a week or so with a degree in philosophy and a minor in women's studies. And we can't wait to see what she has going on next. Now, I'm so thrilled to be joined this time by my collaborative partner at Bridgeway, Kristen Kumar, who's an incredible music therapist and serves as the primary mentor for our interns, and is obviously Rithika's mentor this semester. So I'd love to have Kristen come on. And hey, Kristen, there you are. I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit about your impression of the internship and how you see it being of value, and then we'll bring Rithika on.
Well, years ago, I went and saw the Shakespeare and Autism Project and fell completely in love with it. It's so magical and amazing. And throughout the years, I worked with Robin Post and her students. Robin was the first director of the project. And then we brought Kevin and his student actors into our classes. And I got to the point where I said, these games that Kelly had made are such that if you stick to the structure of the games, you'll be successful most of the time. The students involved, the facilitator, the individuals who are participating, because of this, because the games are so amazingly put together, success is almost guaranteed. But I said, wouldn't it be great if your students had even more knowledge of the autism spectrum disorder, and how much richer that experience would be? And he must have agreed with me, because here we are with an internship. So the internship is basically providing that opportunity to delve a bit more into what is the autism spectrum disorder, get some more hands-on experience with individuals with autism. We also have the benefit of having clients who have a variety of diagnoses. So it's not just autism in our theater groups. And the interns get to work with our clients and really get their hands dirty and just start getting some of that hands-on experience. And what is it like to not just be a student actor in a group, but also be a facilitator? And then also there, as Rithika will be telling you, there are a number of assignments and projects where just researching more into the field is something that we focus on also. And also not just getting hands-on experience, but also going and observing students, our students at Bridgeway, in different settings. So in their classrooms, in their different therapy settings, we have speech therapy and occupational therapy and physical therapy, along with music therapy. So seeing what all we do and how it all ties together to hopefully ensure the success of our students.
Awesome. Thank you, Kristen. Yeah, the partnership has been incredible, and we'll have Rithika come out in just a second. I just wanted to just say a couple of thanks. Of course, none of the work we do would be possible without the students who actually choose to enroll in our Shakespeare and Autism course, our OSU students. Students who have an impulse towards service and empathy and engagement in a creative way. So the students are they're the sort of heartbeat of all this. Also our friends our colleagues at the Nisanger Center, Director Mark Tasse, and the unbelievable support that we get from Nisanger's PhD students, especially Kristen Delarmo, Stony Fortney, and Minjae Kim. And we also have to thank our former department chair, Janet Parrott, and current interim chair, Andy Shelton, for their continued enthusiasm and support of this, as well as Peter Hahn, our divisional dean, and Dean of the College, Gretchen Ritter. They've also been great champions of our work. And lastly, of course, most important, the children and their families who choose to engage in this little journey with us, and give us the privilege of working with them and getting to know them a little bit. So without further ado, I want to introduce Rithika Gopalakrishnan, who's graduating this semester with an economics major and a minor in theater. She's from Hyderabad, India, and her and her family are currently in Mason, Ohio. And I'll just say that Rithika is an extremely gifted teaching artist as well as a great actor. And she established just a quick, deep affinity for this work. And she's only sort of built on that and enriched it through this semester. So I am really excited to have you get to know Rithika and some of her work over the next 35, 40 minutes.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Kristen. And thank you, Clara, for putting this all together. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. Thank you, everyone, for joining me through this journey and this experience that I'm gonna talk about. I came in as a mathematics major, and 1 year in, while I was trying to get acclimatized to this lifestyle and the amount of diversity that OSU provides, I kind of started learning a lot about myself and what I like and what interests me. I fell in love with theater. That's the first time I got to experience stuff through the theater department. So in my second year, I made a complete switch. I changed my major to economics. I fell in love with theater, and things were starting to change. I took this class, English first year writing, that all students are supposed to take. And the topic was disability. Growing up, I didn't really have a lot of explicit exposure to any people or like even the topic, the concept of disability. I didn't know much about it, and my knowledge on it was really, really low. And for doing a class that is, the topic is disability, I needed to know what it was and also apply it in my presentation and project. So that was a deep delve into it, and I learned a lot. This was my first step towards learning about disability. And the art enthusiast that I am, I, of course, chose the topic of disability and art to do my project on. And that is when I found out about creative arts therapy, and it blew my mind. I never thought I would put together arts and disability and find a way to like put in some therapy into that. And that really intrigued me. That's when I kind of Googled and I found out if OSU has some kind of knowledge in this field, like that they can provide me. I found out about Shakespeare and autism. Being new to theater, I didn't know a lot of Shakespeare plays. I didn't know anything about autism. So these two, Shakespeare and autism, both were like uncharted territories for me. So I just had to like stick this back into my back pocket and like deal with it later, pursue it later, hopefully. And in my second year, throughout the year, I was in multiple shows at OSU, and I learned a great deal from my directors, from the other student actors, the crew members, and I gained a lot of knowledge in theater and drama. I, at the time, like in my August semester, my fall semester, I was in a play by Shakespeare. I was in Midsummer Night's Dream, which was directed by Kevin McClatchy, my professor. And that I knew like 2 plays by Shakespeare, but that was it. But that's when I thought that I felt more comfortable with drama and theater. And I thought, this is probably a good time to take this class. So I went up to Kevin McClatchy and asked him if I could join this class. And he asked me to come over and have a talk, like an interview, to see if this class was right for me and if this is something I actually wanted to do. I was frantically Googling Shakespeare plays. What is autism? Why is autism? I didn't know what was happening. I was not ready, but I had the drive. I had the enthusiasm. So I showed up, and this class definitely was right for me. So I got in, and classes start. So this class is kind of broken down into like what I call the pre-workshop and the workshop itself. So during the pre-workshop, we were a set of like 10 student actors, and we would play games with each other, form connections with each other, kind of like ensemble building. And we played games based on Shakespeare's Heartbeat, this book right here, which is written by Kelly Hunter that Kevin mentioned. MBE, she's a renowned actor in the UK, and this wouldn't have been possible without her as well. We played all of these games, and our main goal was to make sure the students benefit. So we had to stick with each other, and it was all about teamwork. We had to write journals every week, and these were kind of like personalized, introspective kind of writing, where we would write about, oh, this is what we did today. This is what I wanted to do. This is what actually happened. This is what I'm trying to do next time. So even playing these games, there are certain things that you learn about yourself, certain things that you need to make sure you don't do, things you need to learn, notes and feedback that you keep getting. So I was wise enough to understand before the workshop started that no matter how many times that you conduct a workshop, every day is going to be a learning experience, and it's going to be different. And I think my professor, Kevin, really prepped us by telling us that each day is going to be different, each child is different, and each game has to be adapted to that child, and you need to work with your instincts and empathy. But it really didn't make sense because we didn't know what to expect. My journal, just 1 week before the workshop started, it was a 2-page journal. But these words, stresses me, scared, worried, anxious, and nervous. All of these words were in the same paragraph of a 2-page journal. I was so nervous because, one, the thought of playing a major role in helping kids overcome a few challenges is definitely incredible, and it's a great opportunity. But it's also scary because you're creating an impact, and they're human beings. That's a person. So it was scary to navigate. Oops. The best thing that helped me through all of this, apart from the class and Kevin McClatchy, was the Nice Songer Center. Kristin, Stoney, and Minjay, all three of them incredible people. They came in and gave us a presentation on what autism spectrum disorder is, what to expect, like what it is actually, its prevalence, causes, treatments, why is it a spectrum, and the myths behind it, and possible strategies that we could use while working with the children who came in. There were some major takeaways. One was that I understand that there's no ideal way to interact with a child, and it needs to be done based on instincts and the child's interest in mind, what their goals are, what their capabilities are, and like being able to push them. The other thing that I definitely took away was, if you meet one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. And that's something that I really needed to plaster into my head. And then the workshop started. I was lucky enough to witness 1,000-year worth of stereotypes squished by a circle of children with autism. The first time I read about autism was all online, and the internet is very generous when it comes to giving us stereotypes and letting us walk right into it. And that was it, just 1 minute of like, we create a heartbeat circle, like a circle, when we do these workshops. And within a second, I had new opinions on what autism is. And everything that Kevin had told us earlier started to finally make sense because we were actually doing it in practice. There were some amazing, memorable moments that I took away from this. One was I worked with a student, M, and he was definitely more high functioning compared to the other students. And he refused to play the game, not because he couldn't, because he didn't want to. And somehow, like over time, we made connection, and like I communicated with him, and he kind of taught me how to say break in ASL. He found ways to communicate with me and keep me in the loop anytime like he needed anything. And the fun part was he kind of shared with me his favorite sounds, and how the Wednesday siren at 12 p.m. is his favorite. Another student, Jay, who I hadn't actually introduced myself to and who doesn't speak that often, pointed at me, turned to me, recognized my face, and said my name. So that was definitely a big part of it, because some students with autism kind of struggle with talking in a particular direction that they have to talk to, point at them, and recognizing face as well. So it was an incredible thing to see. Another student, S, this was the very, very first workshop. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just going with the flow and saw how everything was dragging me into it. In the very first day, a lot of people were in the chill zone. We call it the chill zone or the break zone. This is where everyone just sits before we go to the circle to start the actual workshop. And there were a lot of voices and noises and people talking, conversations, getting to know each other. I started feeling overwhelmed. And that's when I felt the need to look around and see if anyone else felt the same way. And there she was, S. Her parents would come in and tell us that she was a little distressed that morning, distressed. And it was pretty visible as she sat there cupping her hands over her ears. I had this very sudden urge to approach her, walk up to her, sit next to her, and tell her that it's all going to be fine. And I really empathized with how she felt. And something drew me to her, where I sat down next to her, and like within a few minutes, we both were holding hands, and like we were skip jogging to the circle to start the session. To me, that didn't feel like a big thing. I just went with the flow, talked to her, got her to the circle, did the workshop. I didn't realize that it was something notable that I had done until I was called out at the end of the workshop, and I was told that, I love the way you handled Sam today, and it was incredible. And that's when I realized that some things just really come to me with the flow. And another student, B, who was asked to make the hopelessly in love face, and he didn't understand what it was. So he just turned to me and hugged me. And I thought that was really memorable. But of course, the pandemic hit, and nobody saw that coming. And we were really disappointed because we had to call off the workshops. And all the games that are written in the book, all the games that we know, all of them are meant to be played in person. So everything was just, we didn't know what to do. But thanks to Kevin, we were able to bring back the workshops and make it happen virtually. And initially we did have a lot of reservations and like negative things to talk about it, how there's going to be a lack of touch, lack of presence. How are we going to get their attention? And how is it going to happen virtually? But eventually we started seeing different ways to like overcome that and start seeing the bright side. We were able to adapt games so easily. We picked up all the games and made them more virtual friendly. We found ways to play along with technology, with spotlighting and gallery view. The best part about gallery view is that usually in person, we sit in a circle and we have to look all the way around to see everyone. Now with the gallery view, the students just have to look at one screen. So their attention is more geared to one screen, so which is really easy and really helpful. And with spotlighting, we can make sure they're looking at only one person at a time and they don't possibly get distracted, which is very easy. And we found even more interesting approaches to involve the students. We also like took advantage of like having their parents sit next to them sometimes and kind of played around with what works with them. And at the end of it, we were lucky enough to have the opportunity to create our own games based on Shakespeare's Hamlet. Of course, it was inspired by Kelly Hunter's book, Shakespeare's Heartbeat. We drew from it to create our games, but it did feel like a huge accomplishment to be able to create an original-ish game. And of course, fast forward to end of class, it did involve a lot of ice cream and sadness. These were some of the quotes in my own journal. I absolutely love every minute of this workshop and spending time with the children. I am really passionate about this and would love to learn more, challenge myself, and help spreading it in any way. I was not lying, and this class really helped me change as a person and evolve more and empathize with myself, empathize with other people, and see how my gifts could. I didn't think my abilities were gifts until the end of this class, and the pure innocence and their laughter. We used to play games that were like cramps, where you would give cramps to another person, metaphorical, and they would be in pain, and all these students would laugh. And you realize it's the small things that actually give you happiness, and they kind of give me a huge reality check to like let myself go and enjoy every moment in life. And then I was not lying. I was really passionate about it. So over summer, when everyone was stuck at home, Kelly Hunter actually is also the founder of Fluke Theatre Company back in UK, and her company goes live on Instagram every single day at like 12 p.m. EST, if I'm not wrong, and they do the heartbeat hellos, which would involve like tapping your chest and singing hello. And to make it even better, they would make the daily heartbeat hellos more personalized, so they would take your name as you joined it. I joined the Instagram live almost every day, pretty often. And this was like one way I kept in touch with drama therapy as a field and like what is drawing me to it. So over summer, I also pestered Emma Frankov, who's like former intern of Bridgeway Academy and Shakespeare and Autism student, so an actor. And I also pestered Kevin, made sure there was a way for me to still continue pursuing this and what I could do to continue. As an econ major, I was a little bit confused as to how I want to take my career forward, and there was a great way to like guide me. And they both helped me secure this Bridgeway internship. And at first it felt like, yeah, I'm gonna do an internship. But things got real when I had to like go get background checks, created OCCRA accounts where They had to verify my education. I had to do virtual trainings, and they gave me a huge binder with my name on it. Things were starting, things were getting real. So yes, the internship started, and I did a couple of workshops. So these workshops are on Mondays with the Monday drama group. And we have 3 students, and they're between the ages of 21 and 27, Z, R, and K. One of them is virtual, and he joins us through FaceTime every Monday. There are 2 therapists in the group, music therapist Kristen Kummer, who we met. She's also my internship head and mentor. There's another therapist, speech therapist, Caitlin Davis. She's also incredible. So during the first 3 weeks, 4 weeks, for a lot of weeks, it was just me trying to watch, learn, and observe, because this drama group has already been happening and I just joined in. So I was trying to ease into it, get to know everyone, definitely watch and observe how Kristin and Caitlin kind of took care of the activities, how they facilitated it, how they addressed the other students, how everything was happening, and how they actually adapted certain activities to each student in the moment. It was incredible to learn and watch them. Apart from this, I had the opportunity to observe music therapists, speech therapists, occupational therapists, and physical therapists once or twice a week. They would be with their clients, and I would just observe them from the corner. But there were a lot of things. Initially, I thought, why am I observing all these other therapies? But honestly, I did take a lot from them. One of the simple things I learned was sometimes it is as straightforward as simply asking them. Sometimes we as student actors, or for me at least getting into this internship, I overcomplicated the thought of, oh, if a student with autism is not able to express themselves, what do I do? And I complicate that process in my head in finding a way to reach out to them. But really, it is as straightforward as asking them. And that blew my mind. I did observe a lot of speech therapy, and speech therapy, some of it does involve a lot of Dora the Explorer, blank stares, where it would be, what does this word start with? What is the first letter? And it would be utter silence for a whole minute. But the student would give the answer eventually. So that's where I learned how silence is okay. And some students do take time to process, and you need to give them the time. The other thing that really stuck out to me was this other speech therapy session where one of the students ran into the physical therapy room. And the physical therapy room is big, and it's got like toys and other stuff going on. The speech therapist asked him to come back, and he refused. So she went in, she sat down. Their goal was for him to use this book to communicate with her and to also recognize colors. So she sat down with him and said, okay, what do you want to play? And he had to answer with the book. And he said, I want to play with the bowling ball and those bowling pins. And she was like, okay. And he communicated that with the book. And every time he would hit a pin, she would ask him what color it is. And he would answer the color. So in the end, the child does play whatever he wants. And the goal is also being achieved. So the biggest thing I took away was, regardless of the kind of therapist you are, flexibility and adaptability with the process without straying away from the main goal is very, very essential. There were other takeaways about how occupational therapy is important, because I did not realize that there are certain students with autism who don't understand that, or recognize the amount of time it takes to take a shower, the amount of time it takes to comb your hair or drink water. These are not some things that they actually think about normally. So social skills, or like everyday life aspects, are not something that is on their mind usually, or they're aware of. So occupational therapy really targets the smaller elements in life. Bridgeway Academy is, I think, very musically involved, because I observed a classroom or multiple classrooms where they started off their day with music, and half of their general knowledge of like, what are the different seasons? What day is it? What week is it? What month is it? Which planet are we on? All of these are through music, and they start and end their day with music. And I thought that was really incredible. The biggest takeaway was how creative arts therapies would be music, dance, drama, and occupational therapy, physical therapy, and speech therapy are all part of a tightly woven web. And it's important for us to actually have enough information and knowledge of all of this, at least a little bit. for me at least, even when I come up with drama games of my own, where I have to possibly move our hands this way, it does involve a little bit of physical therapy. If I have to sing a particular word, it involves music therapy. And it's important that I observed certain therapists and I picked up one or two things from them that I could use to facilitate. And there are some students who are very receptive to only music. So for example, a student would sing the song and say the words in the song while singing, but wouldn't like be receptive to normal speech therapy sometimes. And it is important to understand what the child is receptive to, their needs and their abilities. And I think Bridgeway does an incredible job of like weaving all of this efficiently around a child's needs and giving them all the possible therapies that they can benefit from. Yes, so I had the opportunity to do a lot of interventions, and obviously I was not perfect at all. Walking in, it was a new experience for me, and I had a lot of feedback, a lot of notes that I got. One was play the game, don't talk about the game. The first time I did my intervention, 20 minutes in, I was still explaining what the game was, and they were bored. They want to play the game. They don't need to know what it is. Second, I needed to take it slow for myself and for them. This is where I learned about how some students take time to process, give it a second, and give yourself a second to breathe. And the other thing was, instead of telling them or directing them to do something, sometimes it's easier to show them or model it, because sometimes some things are very abstract for them to process. I would just walk up and say, make a candle body. For me, I would do that, but possibly a student with autism would be very confused because what is a candle body? So it is easier for me to like model it because some people are very receptive to visual cues and verbal cues. Always be ready to adapt the game. If you come in with a game where you have to pretend to eat mac and cheese and one of the students despises mac and cheese and refuses to play the game, you need to be able to adapt it or change the game or bring in another game. And it's important to keep in mind their needs and moods. Be aware of each student's goals. Even though we all are playing one game, every student has different goals and different diagnoses. And it's important to understand what their goals are and make sure it's being reached. Make sure to challenge them and know when to retract. It's very important to challenge them, but not to the extent where you demoralize them and demoralize yourself because you're not getting responses. And silence is okay. This was a big one for me, where I would keep talking or keep narrating because I felt like if there was silence in the room, it was caused by me. But eventually, through Kristin and Kevin's mentorship and them giving me enough feedback and experiences of their own, I realized that silence is also another way to give them time to process and command the room at the same time. Shakespeare and Autism and Bridgeway, they were definitely similar experience, but also very different for me. In Shakespeare and Autism, I was the student actor. So Kevin was the facilitator. He would say, I'm passing this phase to Rithika and student. But in Bridgeway, I was the facilitator. I made the game, I brought in the game, and I'm also the student actor. So it was really hard to navigate the whole setting of the only one knowing how to play the game. So I have to facilitate it and also be there to like guide the other students around the game. So it was definitely a huge learning opportunity for me. So I was able to learn from what Kevin used to do in Shakespeare and Autism and apply it here, and also adapt it with the help of Kristin's mentorship. I would love to play you guys a video of me doing an intervention. Usually how I start my intervention is by introducing the game one week and then actually playing the game the following week. So this is when I was introducing a game called Get Out of My Chair. So you have to go to a person and ask them to get out of their chair for you, but with a specific emotion.
Okay, so now, through the magic of theater, Rithika is in the middle of the circle. And she has the angry face and angry body. Rithika's really angry. And now, Rithika is gonna give that angry face to Zach. Now Zach is angry. Zach
Sorry.
Okay, now he's gonna give it to, who do you want to give it to?
Katie.
Give it to Miss Katie. Oh, Miss Katie is so angry. Oh, stomping her foot. And now she's gonna give it to Kavan. And now Kavan has a very angry face. We can see Kavan is really, really angry. Oh, that's a good one, Kavan. Good job. Now, Kavan, keep your angry face. Keep your angry face. And you're gonna give it to Ross. In 3, 2, 1. Good job, Ross. Now Ross is gonna give Rithika the angry face. In 3,
2, 1, action!
Oh. Now Miss Rithika's in the center, and now I'm gonna drop the angry face. And we're all gonna take a deep breath. Okay? Breathe in. Breathe out. Okay. Now, everyone, we're gonna take a seat.
So that was the initial part of it where I would introduce the emotion and pass it around so they have more familiarity with it. This was like the following week where I actually played the game with them.
Hey, Ross, now you have the surprise face. Yeah, good job, Ross. Yeah, can you ask somebody to get out of their chair for you? Who are you gonna ask? Okay.
We're gonna take that piece.
Wait, hey, Ross, can we see your surprise face?
Fine.
Yeah.
Take that piece. Hey, thank you.
Miss Katie has the sad face.
One more there.
Oh no, Miss Katie's so sad.
Hey, one there. Calm down. It's okay.
Now Zach has a scared face.
If I scale a squeeze. Look.
Okay.
Ah!
Okay. Yeah.
Ah!
That is scary. That's a scared face. Can you ask somebody to get out of their chair?
Hey, Gopal, can I get out of the chair, please?
Hey Zach, can you do that in a scary voice?
Ah!
Tell him.
Ah!
Get.
Get out of the chair, please. I just scale a squeeze.
That is okay. That's your way of being scared. Now Kavan, you have the happy face. Don't you love the happy face? Who are you gonna ask? See your happy face, Kavan?
So that was when we actually played the game. Yes. So in this group, before I came in, they were already writing this play, and we finished the play, and the play is about how there's this Princess Marcia and her friends. They're in a castle, and suddenly a dragon comes and ties a balloon to it, and it flies away. And Captain Jimmy, who's one of Princess Marcia's friends, saves the castle and Princess Marcia and friends by cutting the rope, but the castle sinks to the water. There's also a magic boat, but I won't tell you the rest of the story because spoilers. But we do have so instead of performing it, we're planning to do a picture book. So this would involve enacting certain scenes of it and taking a picture of it in action. So because one of the students, Kay, is through FaceTime, I helped becoming the body for him. So I would be the body and he would be the face. So all the emotion would be whatever he gives. So I had other assignments as well in this internship that really, really helped me. I had to read multiple books. Some were technical, some were reflective. So it gave me more insight into what autism is and what is it in a certain person's perspective, what is it actually, and the profession of drama therapy. So this assignment required me to sink my feet in to the field of drama therapy and find out how much do people get paid? Where do you get jobs? What are the different licensures? What do you do? When do you do? What schools offer more in-depth study and knowledge in this? So it really helped me navigate through what I want to do in the future as well. Apart from this, I had the ability to come up with an elevator statement or speech. So I realized that in a party or in a setting where somebody asks you what drama therapy is, I have a whole spiel about it, but you can't really give them that. You have to condense it into a few sentences. So mine was that drama therapy is a form of expressive therapy that helps individuals reach certain goals and overcome challenges that they face with social and communication skills. And they usually do this through puppetry or drama games or psychodrama and role playing. After this, I also got to observe a case study and read through it of a particular student from the start up till now, which was like multiple years ago. So I was able to find ways to read IEPs and progress reports and see how the student progressed over the years. So the overall experience then versus now, when I look back, I see myself practically Googling why is autism, when is Shakespeare, and nothing seemed to make sense at that moment. But now there's so much that I've gained in terms of knowledge, in terms of drama therapy, what autism is, how to navigate it. And I can't really put in words how much I've grown over the years and how I'm able to see certain abilities of mine as a gift and actually utilize them to its fullest in this career choice. And especially with Kevin McClatchy and Kristen Kummer, both of their mentorship throughout this whole process, where I would go back and tell them, I don't know why this happened, but something happened. And they would help me through it, give me feedbacks, give me notes, and talk about all the interventions that I come up with and give me tips on how to go ahead with it. They really helped me navigate through all of this. And of course, the students that I work with, incredible memories that I take away. And of course, the connections are the biggest thing that I do take away from the overall experience. So I was not lying when I said I was passionate about it. And people do say half knowledge is bad. I am trying to take it forward and gain more knowledge in this field. So I am planning to go to Lesley University in the fall to do my graduate program in clinical mental health counseling, specialization in drama therapy. So throughout my 3 years over there, I hope to explore drama therapy and learn more theoretical and clinical aspects of it, and also find possibly the kind of population that I want to work with. Again, drama therapy is not specific to people with autism. Of course, it can be played with a lot of other people, even all of us, everyone can play it and do drama therapy. So I plan to explore all of that over the few years. Again, I would love to thank Kevin McClatchy, Kristen Kumar, the Department of Theater for letting all of this happen, and my friend Paul for guiding me through it when I was pestering everyone about this internship. And thank you for guiding me and giving me this incredible opportunity. And especially the students who I got to work with and gave me multiple memories and assurance as to for me to take this forward and be okay with it. Thank you. And thank you guys for listening to my TED Talk.
Thanks, Rithika. That was fantastic. Thanks so much. You did a great job with that. We do have a question, Q&A, time for some questions and answers. There's a Q&A function on the bottom of your screen. And as Rithika wrapped up with thanking some people, which is a lovely gesture. And all this work is about people, right? And I noticed in the participants list, as Rithika was talking, that there are a few people here that I really want to just bring your attention to, because in a very literal sense, this work would not exist right now, and the project would not exist without these people. One is Leslie Ferris, who retired from the university a couple of years ago and was simply instrumental and the driving force when Shakespeare and Autism first came about. It was her tenacity and vision that really sort of made this what it was, and set the template for us to continue to work. So it was phenomenal to see Leslie here, or imagine her here. And also G.A. Lee, who has been with Shakespeare and Autism since its beginning in one form or another. She's done every single possible thing that you can do related to Shakespeare and Autism, and done it at a high level. And her contributions are just invaluable to this. And finally, Alexa Reck, who is another therapist, a colleague of Kristin's, who has been with this partnership and part of these discussions and part of keeping it going from the beginning. And again, it's people whose dedication and passion on a consistent, ongoing basis that make this work so possible and also so rich. So I just wanted to acknowledge those people. And I'm going to just grab this question. So there's one question here for Rithika. It was, when did you know that drama therapy was your future, and that economics was not going to be your future? Thanks. Great question.
I think it was like towards the wrapping up of Shakespeare and Autism, where I realized that a lot of my happiness during the semester came from the 2 hours twice a week from this class that I went to, where I got to meet all these students. And that's when I realized this is something I absolutely want to pursue. And I kind of really pestered a lot of people to find out if it was possible for me to change my tracks. I do enjoy economics, but I felt like drama therapy was something that drew me to it. And it was towards like the cusp of like when Shakespeare and Autism was ending, when I found out that this is something I want to do. Because over summer I was creating an Excel sheet for my parents about, okay, these are the schools that provide drama therapy. This is something I want to do.
Great, thanks, Rithika. Thanks for that question. Another question is, want to know if any of us could speak a little bit more about how we navigate the wide range of reactions among students who engage in workshops and therapies and still are able to maintain forward momentum. I wonder, Kristin, if you might want to talk a little bit about that, and I mean, I'm happy to chime in as well, and Rithika can too, because we've both been in group workshops as well.
That's funny. I've been doing this for so long, it's second nature. So I'm thinking very hard about how I do that. That comes so naturally to me at this point. I think actually acknowledging everyone's reactions in the moment is one thing that we definitely do. I had one client who came in the past. We've had a dance break in our theater groups, just something to get up and kind of just move around a little bit because the group is anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half. And so we just play a song, we talk about what song we want to listen to, and we just kind of move around a little bit, take a break, shake it out. And he came in this year and he said, I don't want to do any more dance breaks. And so we acknowledged that, of course, and said, okay, and figured out other ways to incorporate those movement breaks. And so in that way, keeping, I guess, the forward momentum going. Otherwise, what would you guys say? I would say definitely acknowledging it and being able to just keep going.
Yeah, Kristin, I would agree. And in that, in a workshop setting and in a performance setting, which is sort of a heightened version of the workshop, I think acknowledging the reactions is the key, and allowing yourself as the facilitator to know that there is no right way that this workshop is going to go. There's no correct way that it's going to go. It's simply it's a continuous journey of just being open to what's coming to you, and then finding the wherewithal to simply react to that, and really try and be, and I think this is part of what the people call themselves teaching artists, right? And I think the artistry in that, in the teaching artist label, is in divining, what an individual might need in any given moment, and recognizing that, sort of giving up perfection, which really doesn't exist anyway, and allowing the space for that moment, and creating something that is memorable and useful, as opposed to trying to hold on to some ideal. I think that's been the most effective way that we have handled that. And I think it's just sort of an elaboration on what you said, Kristen. Really, the recognition of it is really the key.
And I also think leaving expectations at the door. I know when we're creating our play every year, I have ideas about how the story might go, but then all of a sudden one of the clients says, and they died. And it's like, oh, that was a turn. And going with that and seeing where their ideas are taking you. But also I think authenticity on your part. I think it really helps to be comfortable in your own skin, and to recognize you're human too, and to bring that authenticity, your own self, into the therapy, because your clients are going to know if you're not. So I think that has helped me. I think that's a lot of how I do it, is just being myself and accepting them for who they are.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that we talk about, not only in this class, but sort of in all the sort of civic engagement or efforts that we engage in, is sort of meeting, and with each other, really meeting each other where we are at that moment, right? And that's the truth of it. And I think that sort of feeds into like who your authenticity is sort of built in when you decide that that's what you're going to do. We're going to meet each other where we are, and then react. Did you have anything to add to that, Rithika?
No, but I completely agree with like the authenticity of it. When you walk in, it's like you shouldn't have any expectations, and that was definitely the hardest part for me, to like walk in without having any expectation, don't know what to expect, and like navigating it. But in that way, like you are able to adapt in the moment because you never prepared for it. So in that way, you just tend to move forward. And I did observe and learn from you both a lot to be able to do that myself a little bit.
Yeah, and I'll just add that in the workshop setting, it's really part of the ensemble that we take time to create, because a lot of times a particular individual might need more attention at any given moment than another individual, and each teaching artist has to be aware of that, and sort of adjust, because one adjustment sort of ripples through the rest of the workshop, and as we work together, then we're able to really continue, to the original question, continue the forward momentum while acknowledging the moment. It's a great question. This one is, thank you for helping autistics develop the skills we need to survive in a world that wishes we were dead. Unfortunately, many autistic people have a tense relationship with therapists because autistic voices are regularly ignored in conversation about what's best for the autistic community. I'm wondering what steps you're taking to ensure you incorporate voices from autistic self-advocates within the neurodiversity movement. I mean, it's an incredible question, and it's like simply rich. And Kristen, I wonder, how you might answer that, because I know you deal with families and a variety of populations on a regular basis. I wonder what your experience is with that.
So there's so much to say about this. It's hard to figure out where to start. We at Bridgeway do believe in client-centered treatment. I can't even imagine a place where we don't take into account each individual's voice, their interests, their motivations, what their family's interests and motivations are. I can't really speak to the whole neurodiversity movement, but I can speak to each individual student in our school. One of the goals that I see quite often for our students is for them to be able to advocate for themselves, and not just advocate for them as an autistic person and for the autistic community, but to be able to advocate for themselves. No, just the simple things. No, I don't want to do this. I want to do this. Or I don't like it when you do that. I like this. So that's a big piece. I myself want my clients to be able to come in and say, I don't want to dance anymore, which I think is great. I apologize for my dog. So I think we at Bridgeway want to enable each individual student to be able to have their voice heard. And in that way, and again, like I was saying in the answer to the last question, we accept our students for where they are, for who they are. And I really do deeply believe that everyone at Bridgeway is very passionate about that.
That's great, Kristen. And I'll just add from that question, it really makes me believe that I think in terms of the Shakespeare and Autism Project and the work we do, that we can probably be more intentional, frankly, about going beyond not only having the children who participate in our workshops advocate for themselves and to really hear them and their parents, but also as we prepare those workshops and in the process of doing those workshops, to continue to do, maybe be more intentional about reaching out to those advocates that our participant mentioned, advocates in the neurodiversity movement, who aren't the children in the workshops, who are outside of that and have really genuine insight into the work we're doing that maybe we're not taking as good of advantage of as we could. And so I really thank you for that question, because it's all a work in progress. Boy, we have a couple other questions, and I'm just going to squeeze this one in because I think we might be able to answer it quickly. So can you say a bit more about how you adapted such an interpersonal workshop to a virtual platform? I've been so curious about how things in this group work and how it was going to be impacted by the pandemic. A lot of it was trial and error. And I think it's fair to say, Rithika will back me up, that the first workshop for each group, first virtual workshop for each group was a little bit of a, goat rodeo, circus atmosphere as we were trying to figure things out, and because there was a lot of trial and error. But we did realize that a number of games naturally and organically lent themselves to the technology, and we were able to, I had so many savvy people, Rithika and the other students, coming up with ideas of how to take advantage of the technology. So I think, for instance, playing cramps and using the spotlight feature was tremendously effective. And I know, Rithika, was there another game that you thought about that you could think of that we were able to be successful with?
Yeah, there was this other game where it was about getting really close to another person and them saying, no, it's too close. And that's kind of like advocating for themselves. But virtually it was weird, but we played with the camera and we would just go, hello. And that would really freak them out.
It was awesome, right? Because it's play based, and this became an incredible source of play, right? Because using the camera in multiple ways. That was a great question. Sorry, there was one other question that we could not get to because it's 3:01. And I just want to say thank you to everyone for coming. It was so gratifying to have you come bear witness to Rithika's work, which was stellar and continues to be stellar. Thank you, Rithika, for sharing that. I know it can be a little nerve-wracking, but you did a phenomenal job. And Kristin, obviously, our partnership with Bridgeway is critical to what we do and invaluable. And my partnership with you is just I couldn't ask for a better collaborative partner. So I really appreciate you coming and sharing with us as well.
Thank you.
All right, thanks everybody, and take care and stay safe.